Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to our channel. My name is Beck. I am a professional mindset coach, medical doctor and the founder of the group coaching program Dare Darling. Dare Darling is a space where we retrain successful driven women to self-govern again. We do this by training ourselves in the skills of mind management or self-coaching. These are the skills that once learned help you create clarity, choice, and control in your life again, i.e. the ability to be free to choose, free from the thought, emotion, and behavior cycles that are blocks for you, that keep you stuck and afraid, free from faulty or non-useful mindsets like perfectionism, imposter syndrome, and people-pleasing, free from what you believe right now are your limitations, and free to be yourself finally, free to make the choices that are most aligned with your integrity and to just go out in the world on a day-to-day basis, really being yourself, making decisions, even the small decisions about what you will choose, what you will do. And then all the way up to the big life decisions, making sure that those decisions are ones that are aligned with your integrity. The only way to be prepared for those crucial moments is to have practiced your skills along the way from these little moments in your day-to-day life. So Dare Darling group coaching is the most amazing environment to learn a more useful way to treat yourself in this life and to practice executing and troubleshooting and discovering the choices that are actually in line with your integrity, because sometimes it takes time and execution to figure out what you want in the first place. So if that sounds like a place that you want to be, the link is below to Dare Darling. Now in today's video, I wanted to pull up a common maladaptive behavior that a lot of us do without realizing, and worse, we do it actually thinking that it's adaptive, thinking that it's productive, thinking that it's helping us, when actually most of the time it's hurting us. It takes a lot of effort and energy and it doesn't even get us the result that we want. And that is dismissing or resisting our fears. Let me give you a simple day in the life scenario of what this looks like. So my clients are mainly doctors and mums. So let me pull up a few examples from their lives that I commonly hear. None of these statements come from just one unique client. So if you're sitting there thinking that you're extra special broken with these painful, distressing, fearful thoughts, then you need to get into a group coaching program so you can understand that so many of these challenges are normal human experiences, and most importantly, there's another way. So a couple of example statements. I'm not efficient enough in my consults. I don't know enough for my exam. I didn't do enough today. I'm not there enough for my children. Now, a lot of these statements might look like doubts more than fears, but if you continue these stories on, we often find that there are fears at the end of them, such as I'm not good enough, I'm not a good enough doctor, I'm not a good enough mother, I'm not a good enough person, I should do more, but I can't handle more, etc., etc. Now, with these doubts, fears, whatever you want to call them, if you are skillful enough to have enough insight to recognize those fears come up in your mind, that's fantastic. First, I just want to celebrate that, because a lot of people think they have self-awareness, but we find that the statistics actually say, or one study has suggested that while something like over 90% of us think that we are self-aware, only 10 or 15% of us actually are. So if you are able to recognize those thoughts in your mind, even if you are not sure what to do with them or you would rather them not be there at all, I still want you to recognize that self-awareness is actually quite impressive and extremely useful. That self-awareness is the first step that opens up new possibilities for us to make changes for you that you want. So as terrible as it feels to be conscious of those thoughts, well done. And now next. When we become aware of those thoughts, our next most common human reaction to those thoughts and the emotional distress that they cause is to try and escape that discomfort. So the feeling that comes with those thoughts is usually something of discomfort, is usually an unpleasant emotion. And with that unpleasant emotion in our body, our very normal human reaction, and perhaps an evolutionarily advantageous reaction, is to do something to make that discomfort go away. And so while we're going about our professional days, often what we'll do is just shush the thought. We will try and deny it or suppress it, push it down. In some form, we'll try to resist this thought and the emotion that comes with it so that we don't have to feel this discomfort. Now, if that works for you, that's great. And sometimes truly sheer distraction or shifting your attention is enough to actually swap over to a different cognitive program and therefore have a different emotional experience in your body. Sometimes we don't get hooked on those thoughts. However, in a lot of cases for a lot of us, that's not how the story goes. How the story goes is we end up spending a lot of our time and energy repetitively over the day trying to push that thought and emotion combination back down again, like a whack-a-mole over the day. The thought will come back into your mind if you have successfully suppressed it or taken your attention away from it in the moment to the point that you get a bit of emotional reprieve. It's likely to come back up again, and that cycle just keeps continuing. Now, to start with, it makes sense that that would be the normal thing to happen. If your mind has identified a threat to you, whether it be to your physical safety or to your psychological safety, it makes sense for our brain to bring it up to us again and again and again until we do something about it, doesn't it? We actually want our brain to do that for us, to present us with possible threats. And if you've simply ignored the threat as opposed to addressing the threat in the first place, as far as your mind is concerned, that threat still exists. So the first consequence that I'm not going to get any more into today is the ongoing attention and energy that it demands to keep suppressing, dismissing or resisting these thoughts that essentially are threats that activate our nervous system, that create these uncomfortable emotions that make us want to escape. But here is the second and greater consequence of making this choice. When your mind presents you with a threat, when your body feels unsafe, and your reaction to yourself is to dismiss or resist that threat that it's identified, I just want you to think about how that affects your ability to trust yourself, which is critical to self-confidence. If you want to be the kind of person who goes out into the world boldly, bravely, and shows up as your full self with all the challenges and risks that comes with, if you want to simply be a confident person in your life, yet you are constantly dismissing or resisting your internal alarm system, how do you think you're ever going to feel a sense of confidence if you can't trust yourself? If you're constantly breaking your own trust. Imagine if you did that to a friend. If they brought up their concerns and you constantly dismissed or pushed back on their concerns instead of hearing them out, how do you think that would affect that relationship? How do you think that person would feel about you? I want you to consider that you have a relationship with yourself in that way too. You've got this automatic mind that's constantly sensing the external and internal environment, and it's interpreting what that means. And as that presents threats to your conscious or observing self that runs the show, that has control, dismisses and resists that, what do you think the relationship is going to be? There's going to be very little trust left. And without trust, there's not confidence. Now, this is quite a bit to take in and consider, and I really want you to actually take the time to watch yourself in your life. Watch this relationship with yourself and see if this applies to you. See if you're having little breaks in your self-trust, and use that amazing self-awareness that you clearly already have to recognize that and create an opportunity to make a change. In the next video, I'll talk about the change that you can make, and I can't wait to offer you a solution, a tool for this that is quite funnily paradoxical. My beautiful friends, if you found this video useful, you are likely somebody who will benefit from our group coaching program, Dare Darling. The link is below, and otherwise I'll see you in my next one.